This
new into
conference
SAP.
will now be recorded.
I will just call their names. Bhartesh. Yeah, Harsha. Harsha Rai, can you please?
Hi.
Just request everybody to mute yourself. I'll call the names. They only just give a brief introduction. Your name and your experience. Harsha, please.
Hi, Manoj. This is Harsha, and I'm into IT from last 10 years, especially in a test lead or a test management side. I'm new to the SAP.
Okay. Okay. Good.
At the moment, I'm in United Kingdom. That's it.
Okay. Okay, that's good, Harsha. Yeah, Juliet. Juliet, please, can you just brief yourself? Juliet Nalwada. Can you hear me, Juliet? Fine. So we'll come back on you. Ravi.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Ravi.
Hi all. Yeah, I'm Ravi Gupta. And coming to my experiences, I have overall 7 years work experience, and coming to SAP is 2 years I have experience. I was working in Infosys. So this 31st December only I left the job, and I got the opportunity in TCS. Due to this COVID-19, it has been affected and it is on hold still. So I have experience in testing project currently.
Okay, so somewhat you have worked on SAP prior to in your
Yes,
current
yes.
experience. Okay,
yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good, Ravi. So you'll be able to connect in a better manner. That's good, Ravi. So
Yeah.
thank you. So yeah, we'll come back to Wasim Mullah. Wasim Mullah. Can you hear me, Wasim? Wasim. Okay, fine. No, we'll go back. Come back to you. Vinny Chawla.
Hi, Manoj.
Hi.
So I've been, so my experience is in SAP ABAP. You know, I've close to 15 years of experience. It's just that I want to get into a get to know more about a functional domain. So I'm looking for SAP MM training.
Okay, okay, fine. That's good. So you have a vast experience, and only functional point of view, it's a new thing for you. Fine, no problem. And fine. So here, Bharatesh. Bharatesh, can you hear me? Bharatesh. Okay. Juliet. Juliet, are you able to hear me? Am I audible to you? Wasim Mullah. Okay, might be some audio problem. So anyways, I will continue. Before I start, let me give my introduction as well. So today we are going to have a SAP Materials Management demo. Okay, it's a coming back to my introduction, I have 12 plus years of experience in SAP MM, okay, which involves your ECC part as well as S4 HANA, and I've also worked on extended warehouse management as well. So out of the 12 years of experience, I have done 7 implementation projects in my 12 years of experience of SAP, 7 full life cycle end-to-end implementation projects, including integration. In 7 projects, 6 were in ECC, Enterprise ERP Central Component, okay, ECC 6.0, and 1 project I have done of S4 HANA, which was a migration project from ECC to S4 HANA. Apart from end-to-end implementation, I have also done 11 rollout projects, 2 upgradation projects, as well as GST migration projects. Okay, and which was basically, apart from standard, I have also done extensive customizations and enhancements within the scope, budget, and timeline. So currently, I'm working for a MNC company as a solution architect, SAP S4 HANA MM solution architect. Okay. Now coming back to our demo, this course is for, who is this course for? Now if you see, it's basically for anybody who is interested to learn SAP MM. Okay, so it's like whether he may be fresher, just a college pass out, or an experienced guy. Now, experience, when I say, it's not necessary that he has to have an SAP experience. Any domain expertise or a non-SAP experience, he's into IT and he's having a non-SAP experience, some legacy system or another platform experience, or he's into from business domain expertise. So even he can go for SAP MM course. Now, why he wants to go? Because he can leverage the experience of his domain experience or his non-SAP experience, and come into the SAP field for better career opportunities. Because in SAP, if you already aware, it's a is the number one ERP in the market. It's a leader in the ERP segment, and there are huge career opportunities available in SAP field. Next is SAP functional consultants. Now, why they are already into SAP some other module, and they want to learn extra module like MM module. So now, why they want to learn SAP MM? Because what happens if you have an extra module knowledge, you have an edge over other candidates, and you can promote yourself. Basically, when you go to higher level, like from consultant, you climb the ladder to you maybe your team lead, then project manager or solution architect. At solution architect level, you are supposed to know multiple module knowledge. So people learn extra modules apart from their expertise which they already have. Then last is the end users. So end users are the people who actually use the business knowledge, and they using their business knowledge, they do the transactions into SAP MM. Okay, so they are the actually domain users, like buyer. In a procurement department, the buyer is there. He would be creating all the procurement activities. He will be running the procure to pay cycle. There would be sourcing guys. So they are the end users who use the SAP for day-to-day operations. So they want to get into SAP field because as a consultant level. Right now they are end user level. So after the training, they can go for consultant level training. So basically this course is for anybody who wants to learn SAP MM. Now, but why we should learn SAP MM? First of all, it's easy to learn. It's not complicated, or you should not have any technical knowledge as such. Okay, so anybody can learn. It's easy to learn, but only thing is it's huge. The more you deep dive inside, you will get to learn new things. Lot of new things are coming up. As now you have seen S4 HANA has come up. SAP every year comes up with a new version, and lot of enhancements in service packs and patches are updated. New features are added. So you have to always keep yourself abreast, upskill yourself. Okay, so that is the thing, but it's easy to learn, and it's a fundamental module of SAP. It's one of the core modules of SAP. Like we have different core modules like MMSD, FICO. So these are the core modules, and these core modules are implemented by all the companies, irrespective of the size, whether it's a small company or a mid-sized company or it's a big company. They implement the MM because it's one of the core modules, and because of which we have plenty of jobs available in the market. Now coming to evolution of, so if you see the history of SAP, it started in the year 1971 by 5 IBM engineers. They had taken a software. They used to work on a software called SAP, SAP in a company IBM. Okay, and IBM has acquired this SAP software from Xerox company. Now IBM abolished this software, and they told that these 5 engineers were told to move on to some other project. But they instead of moving, they have seen this system, and they felt that it's instead of abolishing, they took that software from IBM and they enhanced the product and came up with a new company called SAP. It was launched in the year 1971 in Waldorf, Germany. Okay, that is headquartered in Waldorf in Germany, and that version was R1 version. That was a first generation of SAP which was launched, but that was not very popular. So they started enhancing, adding lot of new features, and in the year 1979 they came up with a R2 version. Now R2 here is second generation of system, and R means real time. Okay. So, and it became very popular with big companies. At that time we had the mainframe technology available, and only big companies used to implement this mainframe technology, and R2 was working on the mainframe technology. Now if you see, after 1979 there was a next technology shift which occurred in the year 1992, and it was personal computers came into picture, which was replacing the mainframe technology. So personal computers were used by small companies, medium-sized companies, big companies. Almost all the companies started using the personal computers in day-to-day operations. So SAP, what they did, they enhanced the product and they came up with the R3 version, which is a third generation of SAP, and it is called real-time third generation of SAP. And even this works on a 3-tier architecture. We have the client layer, application that is an interface, then the application layer which has all the logic and validations, and third layer is a database layer. So that is why also it is called 3 means third generation or 3-tier architecture. Now after that, what happened, there was a next technology shift which occurred in the year 2004. Your web was spreading itself across the world, and all the big companies, almost all the companies started using internet in their daily operations. Now existing SAP was not able to work on the web, so they acquired a company called NetWeaver, and using a NetWeaver application, which was an intermediary, they were able to do some of the transactions on the internet. Okay, it was not all of them, very limited features were available on the web. And and this was your ECC part. So ERP, which is launched in the 2004, it is your ECC version, which is called ERP Central Component. That is the full form of ECC. Now after that, if you see, by the year 2015, there was a new way of advances in the hardware architecture. Okay, we had the massive computing power available, and that too in a very low cost available. We had the huge memory, we had the multi-core processors available, so we had dual core, quad core, and this many kind of processors available, which was offering a massive computing power. But the current ERP system, which was the ECC system, it was not able to fully exploit the power of the new hardware. Okay, so because it was built in the year 2004, at that time that advances in the hardware was not available. So what SAP did, they rewrote the complete business suite, and they came up with a new version which was called S4 HANA. Okay, in the year 2015 it was launched. Now before 2015, there was one major change which occurred. What was that? It was not directly, S4 HANA didn't came into picture directly. Before S4 HANA, there was a HANA database which came into picture. Okay, in the year 2011, there was a SAP HANA database which came into picture. Why SAP launched the HANA database? Now if you see SAP ECC version, it can work on any of the database. It was database independent. It can work on Oracle's database, it can work on Microsoft SQL Server database, DB2, Sybase. Okay, it could work on any of the databases. Now SAP, when they analyzed the problems, because SAP had a global support team which used to handle the support issues of all the companies. Okay, we raise a ticket to the SAP global support team, and they resolve the issue. So when they analyzed the tickets, call logs, they found out the major of the problems were because of the database issues, not because of SAP issues. The only limited, almost 30 to 40% issues were reported from the SAP side, and major 60 to 70% issues were because of the database. Now what SAP did, they were not able to do much about it because it was not their database, it was of Oracle or SQL Server. Okay, so another thing is that Oracle is a competitor of SAP. Okay, they had their own ERP system, and they are the second position in the ERP segment. So SAP is number 1 in the ERP segment, Oracle is the number 2 position in the ERP segment. So it doesn't make sense that you are taking a database of your competitor. So SAP started building their own database, which was called a SAP HANA database, and it's a in-memory database. So what is in memory? The data resides in the RAM. Okay, before that we had the Oracle SQL Server database, wherein the data was residing in the hard disk drive. Now in HANA, the data resides in the RAM. Now HANA was launched in the year 2011, and the first module which was powered by HANA database was the Business Warehouse System. That is a reporting and analytical tool, BIBW system module was implemented on the HANA database. And in the year 2011 itself, your ECC system also started migrating to HANA database, because HANA was such a powerful database that if I will show you on the HANA supports, it is a column oriented. First of all, in-memory database. It's an in-memory database. It's a column oriented database. And it supports massively parallel processing. So what is in memory? As I told you, it's a data resides in the RAM. Whereas in column oriented database, data is stored in the column oriented fashion. Whereas if you see Oracle or the SQL Server database, the data resides in the row fashion. Okay, wherein over here the data resides in the column oriented fashion. Now what happens, why we keep the data in column? Because suppose we have a table called customer, which has fields like customer number, then we have a product, and then we have the field called amount. Okay, so these are the fields. So customer number 1 has bought one product, suppose ABC product, for an amount of 100 rupees or 100 USD. Customer 2 has bought the another product from XYZ for 200 rupees. Now in a row oriented fashion, what happens, the data is stored in a row fashion, so it will be stored like this. Okay, in a row fashion. So whenever you are fetching the data from a table, what will happen, the database will read the data from the first. Okay, he wants to know the top 5 customers. Suppose the business wants to know who are my top 5 customers. From a database of customer which is having 2 trillion records. Okay, so we have 2 trillion records in this customer. I will just shown you 2 records, but suppose they have 2 trillion records in the same customer table. Now if you want to fetch the top 5 customers from these 2 trillion records, your normal ECC system or SAP or any non-SAP system will take 6 hours to fetch that data. Okay, to fetch the top 5 customers, it will take 6 hours, whereas S4HANA will take just 6 seconds to fetch the top 5 customers from your 2 trillion of records. So if you see this kind of improvement in the productivity and efficiency is there when it comes to HANA database. Okay, now why it is able to fetch the data in just 6 seconds and others are not able to do that, they are able to do in the same thing in 6 hours. The reason being, as I told you, it's in memory database, data is stored in the RAM, it's a column oriented, data resides in the column. Now what happens in the row fashion, when I want to know the top 5 customers, I will start reading from here. Customer number 1, okay, ABC product, amount 100 rupees. Is it in the top 5 list? No. Then I will go to second record. Okay, I'll read the second record. Is it in the top 5 customers? Okay, fine, I found it. So I will keep it here in assets. Okay, I got one record. This way I will keep on reading all the records one by one in a row fashion. And because of what I have to do, I have to scan each and every record. Now when it comes to column oriented fashion, data is reside in a column oriented fashion. So I have customer number as the first column. So what I will do, I'll create a customer file. Then I have a product as the second column, so I will create a product file in the column oriented fashion. Third is your amount column, so I will create an amount file. So whatever columns are there, that many files are created in the system. Now if I want to know top 5 customers, I only want customer number and the amount. I don't want the product details, right? So what I will do, I will not read this. I will not read the product file, only I will read the customer file and the amount file. So what happens, I'm skipping the product file to read the data. I'm only reading the required files. I'm not reading all the columns. You can say column or file because every column is stored as a file. So I'm just reading the required files. Now here it doesn't make much sense because there are only 3 files. Now in a real life scenario, customer data table will have 100 columns or 200 columns. Okay, so out of 100 columns, at the max we'll be requiring in our report of 5 customers at 10 columns or maximum 20 columns. So we are directly skipping almost 80 files from reading or 80 columns from reading. We are just reading 10 or 20 files. So because of which, what happens, you have to read less. So obviously you have to processing is much faster. You can fetch the data in much faster way. So this is the another aspect. It's able to fetch the data in just 6 seconds instead of 6 hours. And last is a massively parallel processing. So as I told you, we have the huge computing power available, which is providing you multi-core processors. Like we have dual core, quad core, and that way we have multiple cores. So what is multiple core processor? It is like a CPU within a CPU. So if we say dual core, we have a one main CPU, and within that we'll be having another small CPU. So we'll in a quad core we'll be having 4 mini CPUs under under a main CPU. Okay, so that way. So what happens now, whenever SAP is processing a program, say purchase order program, what it will do, it will segregate the program into different subsets. Okay, and assign the, so suppose there are quad core processors, so it will create 4 subsets, and each subset will be assigned to one CPU, and because of which what happens, it is parallelly processing the program, and in the end they compile and we get the data. So when we parallelly process the program, it's obviously much faster in the processing. Okay, and this is another reason why SAP is able to fetch the data in 6 seconds. A top 5 customer is 6 seconds compared to other databases. When the company realized this kind of productivity and efficiency in the database, company started migrating the existing SAP system to the HANA database. So they migrated the database. They are not migrating the application, which is the SAP ECC. They are just migrating the database. From SQL Server, they will move to HANA database, or from Oracle database, they will move to the HANA database. And when they do that, it is called SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. Okay, so it is nothing but your SAP ECC, which is working on the HANA database instead of Oracle or SQL Server database. And it's a real-time business system, and HANA supports both OLAP and OLTP, which we'll see in detail in the training. But what is OLAP? It's an online analytical processing, which is used for your reporting purposes, and OLTP is your online transaction processing, which is used for your normal all day-to-day transactions. Okay, so in ECC there was another drawback, that it can either support we can say, not ECC, or the database had a drawback that it can either support OLAP or OLTP, but not both together. So because of which what happened, we used to there was one server which was supporting OLTP. So OLTP will be your reporting tool, on which we used to install BI server, BI module, BW module, BO module. So these are all the reporting and analytical tools available. Sorry, OLAP available for your reporting purpose. And we had the OLTP server, on which we used to install SAP ECC, all the modules like MM, SD, FICO, and so on. Okay, all the modules used to install on the OLTP server, and there was another server on which we used to do the reporting activities by using the BI, BW, and BO server, because the existing database can either support OLTP or OLAP, but not both together in the same server. So what used to happen, whole day the transaction used to happen in the OLTP, that is a MM module or SD or FICO, and end of the day we used to fetch the data on the OLAP server for reporting purposes. So we had the normal reports available in MM and SD FICO, but if you want to go for high strategic reports, which requires a lot of computing and processing, for that we need BI, BW, and BO server. So now here what happened, we don't have the real-time data. So in the end of the day, the data is to get transported via ETL. There's a extraction, transformation, and loading used to happen from OLTP to OLAP, and then we used to get the data only next day. So business used to always get the got the real-time data. They always used to get 1 day old data for the strategic reporting purposes. So this was the drawback of SAP older versions. And now HANA came into picture, which can support OLAP as well as OLTP on the same server. So you don't have to buy another separate box or separate server. It can work on the same server using HANA database. And when we work both the systems in the same server, we have a real-time data. There is no need to migrate the data. There is a one database which caters to both your reporting and transactions, and it is called single source of truth. We have a single source of truth, one data available for your reporting as well as transaction purposes. Okay, so when we because of which businesses started moving the existing database from the Oracle or SQL Server, any other databases, to HANA database, and this happened in the year 2011, and till 15 the migration started happening. Almost 20-25% companies migrated from existing database to HANA database. Now if you see, there are around 4.5 lakh customers who are using companies, 4.5 lakh companies who are using SAP system as of 2019. Okay, and out of which almost 20%, 25% migrated in the year 2011 itself to HANA database. Now what happened in the year 2015, SAP also migrated. So right now only we had the BW system on the BW server module on the SAP system. So SAP migrated the HANA, sorry, your other modules like your finance and the logistics area. So in the, if you say broadly, there are two areas in SAP. We have the logistics area and the financial area. So first finance area, finance was moved on to HANA database, and it was called Simple Finance. When finance moved into a HANA database in the year 2015, it was Simple Finance, and in same after immediately even the logistics models were also moved, and it was called Simple Logistics. But this was only in the year 2015. After 2015, it was just an internal nomenclature which they followed, and when they after that SAP started rebranding the system, and it was called SAP S4 HANA Enterprise Management MM module, and that way. Or then we had the SAP S4 HANA Enterprise Management SD module, SAP S4 HANA Enterprise Management Finance module, SAP S4 HANA CO module, and so on. Okay, so it is right now, it is not called Simple Finance or Simple Logistics, it is called SAP S4 HANA Enterprise Management, and the module wise, the way it was in the ECC, each module has a separate process. Now this MM is also called sourcing and procurement. Okay, this is also called sourcing and procurement module. Now the latest version is the 1909 version of S4 HANA. Now what is 19? It was launched in the year September, that is 09 2019. That is why it's called 1909. Before that we had SAP S4 HANA 1809, which because it was launched in the year September 2018. Then we have, prior to that we had a 1709 because it was launched in the September 2017, and that way. So before, prior to that we had 1609 and 1503. We had 1503 because that was launched in the year March of 2015. That is why it's called 1503. So SAP S4 HANA is having a simplified data model. What they have done, they have simplified the data model drastically. First of all, the database is changed. Apart from database changes, they have also modified the data model. So, and they have come up with a new user experience. So what is the new user experience? Is the Fiori. Fiori is a new interface which will show in the next slides. What is Fiori? Then it has advanced processing capabilities. We have the choice of deployment, and multi-tenancy. So we'll see one by one what is this. Before that, now we have seen the HANA database. Now what is SAP S4 HANA? So SAP S4 HANA is the application which I told you. This SAP S4 HANA MM module, SD module, PP module. That way, they are the modules, or you can say components or applications which work on the HANA database, which is an in-memory database. And SAP S4 HANA brings in significant improvement over the previous business suites. That I have shown you how processing speed is from instead of 6 hours, it takes just 6 seconds to fetch the top 5 customers from a customer database having a 2 trillion records. Okay, so that kind of that kind of efficiency is available in HANA database. Apart from that, it has an improved user interface called the Fiori user experience, and we have the Fiori is a interface. Prior to that, we had the graphical user interface, which is available in the your ECC version or the previous version, we had the graphical user interface. Now we have the Fiori user experience. And then apart from that, we have the updated data model, which I'll show you what how they have updated the data model. And then we have the comprehensive embedded analytics. So all the futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning capabilities, this is all built into SAP S4HANA. And S4HANA covers all the day-to-day operations. It covers all the core modules of SAP, like your order to cash, that is your SD module, procure to pay is your MM module, plan to product is your PP module, request to service, and all the core modules are there. And it has also integrated few industry solutions. So what are industry solutions? There are some apart from core modules, there are other modules which cater to business specific requirements, like we have IS oil, which caters to the oil industry. We have IS retail, which caters to the retail industry. So what SAP has done, they have taken few commonly used processes from these industry solutions, and they have integrated that into SAP S4HANA. Apart from that, it has also integrated some portions from other lines of business suite, like SAP SRM, that is a supplier relationship management, SAP CRM, that is a customer relationship management, and SAP SCM, which is a supply chain management. So SAP S4 is a package of your core modules plus a few important portions from your industry solutions, as well as from some integrated portions from SRM, CRM, and SCM, and it is powered by the HANA database. Okay, so this is about SAP S4HANA. So these are the core models which I told you, procure to pay. So what they have done, they have streamlined the procure to pay process. So procure to pay process was there in the ECC module, ECC version, but they have streamlined that in SAP S4HANA. They have accelerated the plan to product, that is a PP module. They have optimized the SD module, that is order to cash. They have enhanced the request to service. So they have added a lot of new functionalities, and they have simplified the data structure in all the core modules of SAP when it comes to S4HANA. And it is not just a simple product, it is not a one single product, it covers many other applications. Okay, so what are those other applications? If you see S4HANA at a glance, it is not just the we have the HANA database, which is at the bottom, and on the top of that we have all the core modules and of SAP S4HANA, which is MM, SD, and PP, QM, EWM, FICO. So it will be lying over here. And then there are extension modules. So what are extension modules? We have Ariba as one of the extension module, Concur, Fieldglass, Hybris, and SuccessFactors. So what are these? Actually, these are different companies which was acquired by SAP. So SAP acquired Ariba, and now it is called SAP Ariba, which is used for your supply collaboration activities. So your procure to pay procurement activities will be handled by MM module, whereas Ariba will be handling the supply collaboration activities, like your you can say e-bidding, or your invoicing is handled by the this Ariba. We have the sourcing activities. Okay, so if I give an example of Amazon, suppose if you're buying on an online portal like Amazon or Flipkart, so what you do, you search in the Amazon the catalog, from the catalog whatever product you want to buy. So when we search from the catalog as Amazon or Flipkart, what they will do, they'll suggest you the list of all the suppliers who can supply you that product. Okay, so suppose one product is there, suppose I want to buy a laptop, I'll get around 4 to 5 suppliers suggested by Amazon who can supply this product in my location. And I can also read the reviews of the supplier. I can see the delivery performance and other aspect. I can go through the FAQs. I can ask them the questions. So these kind of things is possible using the Ariba network. So whenever we create a purchase order, that Ariba is natively integrated with SAP S4HANA. It will go to Ariba from MM module. The purchase order will be going directly to Ariba network. It will search from its database the list of all the suppliers who can supply you that product or service which is there in the purchase order, and it will suggest you the source of supply. So there are around 4 to 5 suppliers will be suggested, and you can in S4HANA we can directly see the performance of the supplier. We can read reviews and ask the questions about a particular thing or give the specifications of the product, and based on that we can choose one of the best supplier after evaluation and raising a purchase order. So this is activities is done in the Ariba. Okay, so Concur is another extension module which is basically used for your transportation management. Fieldglass is used for your service management. Hybris is used for your customer relationship management, and SuccessFactors is used for your HR module. It's employee engagement and other activities. Apart from payroll, everything has been moved in SuccessFactors now. So these are all the cloud solutions. Why SAP came with the cloud? Because the customers demanded cloud version. Okay, now existing SAP ECC version is not able to work on cloud completely. So SAP acquired these companies and which are able to work on cloud. Okay, now if you see, these have their own interface. Ariba has its own interface, Concur has its own interface, Fieldglass has its own interface, because they are third companies which was acquired by SAP. So to bring everybody in one particular platform, SAP came up with the Fiori user interface. So when we say Fiori, it's an interface which is role-based user experience, and it is having a one particular interface on which all the core modules of SAP can work, all the extension models of SAP can work with the same consistency. Okay, you have a same experience in Fiori. And apart from that, we have the two kinds of deployment options in SAP S/4HANA. You can deploy on-premise or you can deploy cloud edition. So what is on-premise? It is just similar like your ECC version. Okay, so the server over here is owned by the business and they are the owners and they are managing the server on which SAP HANA database will be installed and SAP S/4HANA application will be installed over in the on-premise edition. And it is license-based thing, the way it was in the ECC. You have a user-wise license which we pay to the SAP. Now coming to cloud edition, here the server is not owned by the business. Okay, it is owned by the third-party companies who service providers who will host the server for you. Like AWS is there, Amazon is there, SAP can host their own servers. Okay, they also provide. So what you have to do, you have to subscribe for that space on the cloud, and when you subscribe, you get a shared resources. You will share the hardware, you will share the software from these service providers. Okay, so now what is the hardware would be your servers. That will be one hardware which will be not only given to you as a private, you have to share with other companies, and but your data will be tightly secured in a separate container, technical container, and nobody has access to anybody else data over there. And when it comes to app software, there will be one instance of SAP S/4HANA which will be installed in the cloud version, and everybody will be sharing the same instance using the technical container. Okay, so here it's a all the modules will be there on the cloud, and you subscribe to that on an annual subscription. Pricing model is annual subscription or half yearly or more than that. You can subscribe and pay and start using it. So here the benefit is you don't have to invest so much upfront to buy the server. Okay, and you can start with your own models. It's not necessary that you have to start with all the extension models immediately. You can start with the core models, and any time of point of time you can add on to these extension models later on. Okay, suppose your big data, it can work on any devices. Now when it comes to Fiori, it's a interface which can work on any device. It is device independent. It can work on your laptop, on your desktop, on your tablets. It can work on your smartphones, mobile handsets. Okay, so and it will automatically adjust the size of the screen as per the device screen size. So this is the features available in the Fiori. When we have a separate topic in S/4HANA in the training, which will be covering. We'll start with the Fiori overview, and then we will do the entire procure to pay cycle using the Fiori interface. Okay, and any questions in this? Anybody? You can anytime unmute yourself and ask me the questions. Till this much is clear. If you have any doubts or clarifications or questions, you can please ask.
No, as of now, it's okay for me.
Okay, okay, Ravi. Anybody else? So otherwise we'll continue. Okay, fine. So
Hello.
let us. Yeah. Tell me.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Khaja Ahmad. Tell me.
Yeah, this is Syed Khaja Ahmad.
Yeah.
I'm a mechanical engineer right from scratch because I'm totally new to SAP. For me, I know that concern to mechanical there will be a ERP system and material management system in every manufacturing unit. Okay.
Right.
Please suggest me what to do, what not to do in SAP models. I think I know a bit about SAP. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Apart from all modules, so which module is suitable for an mechanical engineer?
Okay. So when we say mechanical engineer, you would be working in a manufacturing company where they are producing mechanical parts and mechanical products. Okay. So what you have for you, if you want to get into SAP, MM model is one. I think it would be suggested for you, because when we say procurement of the mechanical things can be done using MM model. And being a technical mechanical engineer, you will be procuring the mechanical components for a particular company. And when we say when we start the training, I'll be having two kinds of batches. One would be the freshers batch, another would be experienced people batch. We are not merging both of them because both have their own requirements. Okay, so for freshers, I'll be spending more time in the basics, and teach everything from the scratch, which is not required by the experienced guys. Okay, so for experienced who are already worked on ECC module, or they have worked on SAP before, for them we'll be covering more of advanced topics of S4 HANA, okay, instead of the basics part. So this kind of two kinds of batches will be created so that we can cater to their specific requirement. And
Okay.
for you, yeah, and so let us continue, and in the end I will be having a question answer. Yeah, tell me.
Hello. Sorry. If you have by end question answer means I can ask in the end. You can continue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we will having a
Sorry to disturb.
we will be having a
Yeah,
question
sorry.
answer session in the end of the demo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry to disturb.
fine.
Yeah,
So
general
I was
question we can ask. Yeah.
yes, so I was asking about whatever I have covered the slides till now. If you have questions in that, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can proceed to the next slides. Fine,
No, whatever you have covered is fine with this.
it's just plain English, so it's not
You
much
can continue. Thanks
nothing
for
much
the
about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you're welcome. Fine. So let us continue. So we have seen these things. So this was a little bit overview of SAP S4 HANA. Coming to our material management model. So if you say when we say material management, we have the older versions, that is your ECC part, ECC version, as well as the SAP. Now, new product is your SAP S4 HANA. Now SAP says it's not a new version, it's a new product, because there are a lot of changes have come up. Your database has changed almost, and then a lot of functionality changes have come up in SAP S4 HANA. Your data structures has been simplified. Lot of unwanted tables have been dropped or deleted from the ECC version of database. So we'll be seeing in the training what are the tables which are dropped from the S4 HANA, and what are the new tables which SAP have brought into SAP S4 HANA in MM module. What are the new tables? Okay, and what are the new functionalities which has been come up in SAP S4 HANA. Now coming, and the basic concepts remain the same. What are the basic concepts? There are 4 components in SAP MM module. We have the master component, master data component, which involves your material master. And when it comes to vendor master, we don't have vendor master concept in SAP S4 HANA. We have a new concept which has come up, that is your business partner. Okay, so we'll see what is business partner. It has replaced the vendor master. Vendor master was there in the ECC version, but now in S4 HANA, vendor master has been replaced by a new approach, that is a business partner approach. So we'll be covering in detail about business partners. Now, so we have the business partners and the material master as a master data component. Apart from that, we have purchasing info records, source list as another kind of master data. Then we have purchasing component, which involves your entire purchasing activities, right from your purchase requisitions, your quotations, your purchase orders, contracts, okay, and even the invoice verification is part of your purchasing component. And then we have the inventory management component, wherein we'll be catering the inventory related activities like your goods receipt, goods issue, transfer postings, and we have physical inventory. So these will be covered in the inventory management component. And last is your planning, which is a MRP, material resource planning, wherein we'll be doing the consumption based planning activities. So wherein we can create auto PR based on the we set a reorder point saying that okay, if the quantity inventory is gone below the particular level, threshold level, automatically the purchase requisition will be created and that inventory will be maintained at that particular level. Suppose we say that 100 quantity is always required at any point of time, so that there is production doesn't stop or the customer order is always fulfilled. So we always maintain that level, that is called reorder point. How to maintain that reorder point using the MRP is also another component of SAP MM. Okay, and MM is one of the backbone of your logistics area. We have other models in logistics area like your SD, we have PP, QM, quality management, we have the warehouse management. So these are the various models of logistics area, and MM is the backbone of your logistics area. And MM always ensures that there is no shortage of material. Right quantity of material should be available at the right time. Okay, and it speeds up your procurement activities so that your business can run smoothly with complete time and efficiency. And when I say material, it is not only material. Okay, it also means services. Okay, so it is not just material procurement, it is also service procurement for your service industries. Okay, and material is for a manufacturing industry and services would be for service industries. The aim is to accelerate the productivity, reduce the cost, and increase improvement. At the same time, it's versatile to even accommodate your daily business operations. So MM will be handling your not only your strategic procurement activities, as well it will also handle your day-to-day operations of your business. So in the master data component, I was talking about the material master. So what I will do, I will just log in into the server. So we'll have a little bit practical session as well. So when you enroll for the training, we will be giving you server access. Okay, it will be via remote desktop. Here we will be giving the login credentials, the IP address, username, password. Via remote desktop connection, you can connect to the server, and it will be a 24/7 server access available to you during the entire duration of the course. Okay, and the course duration is around 45 to 50 hours, which will be covered in almost 2 months of time. Maximum 2 months of time will be covering the training. So when you log in on the server, this is the desktop of the server. We'll be having two icons, which one is your SAP logon pad, another is your Fiori launchpad. So SAP logon pad is used for your graphical user interface, just like your ECC version. So over here, this is one server right now available. You can double click on it and log in into the SAP server. There will be one client number, which is a default client. You have to just give the username, password. Okay, so if you see on the right hand side, we have the logo, which is SAP's logo, which we can be replaced by your company's logo. On the left hand side, we have all the menus available. So we have in the logistics area, we have the material management module, SD module, PP module, QM module, and all the logistics modules available in the logistics area. Then we have the accounting area, that is a finance, human resource, and so on. So in logistics area, we have material management model, which we're having components like a purchasing component, inventory management, okay, MRP. So when we say purchasing, we have various transactions in purchasing component like purchase requisition, purchase order, contracts. So we should be covering each and everything in the training. How to create a purchase order, how to create a purchase requisition, means that is our entire P2P cycle. Apart from that, we'll also be covering the configuration part. So when we say purchase requisition, what is the settings required? So when I say, suppose if I open a particular purchase requisition screen, this is just open, suppose. So this is my command field, wherein if I know the transaction code of a particular transaction, I can directly enter the code. Okay, otherwise we can scroll from the menu bar as well. So this is my PO, purchase order. Now if you see, there are different document types available, which is configurable. Okay, there is a number of this PO. Now, if you want a separate series of a number which can be configured, okay, we can configure the vendor details, you can configure the material master, you can configure the material group. So everything is configurable. How it is configurable? Via there's one SPRO. Okay, it is a T code. Using this T code, we can configure any of the transactions of SAP. When I go to materials management, in the purchasing, in the over here we have the purchase order. I can create my own document types over here. Okay, there are some standard document types which is available. So what is standard document? It's a document type means, I will show you. This is my PO which I had opened 23N. This is my document type. NB is a standard document type. Now, if you want to create your own document type, what is why you want to customize? So if suppose you want a particular series for an import procurement, so what we can do, create a separate document type for an import procurement and separate document type for a domestic procurement. Okay, so that we'll have a separate number range for both of them. So that can be customized. So this kind of customization can be done. So there are some companies who can create multiple document types, like for operational purpose they create a separate document type. For a capex requirement they can create a separate document type. Okay, and we can same way we can define for purchase requisition as well, so domestic and import, and the different number series. And then over here there are a lot of fields available which can be customized. We can make any of these fields input field as mandatory or optional or display via the SPRO configuration setting. So which will be covering in detail each and every transactions will be doing it, that is a procure to pay cycle, as well as for every transaction whatever settings are required, standard settings, customizable settings can be done via this SPRO. Okay, so coming to your procure to pay starts with the master data, master component. So this is my material master screen MM03. This is my display. So whenever I want to create a material right. So these two things are the master data which we need to create. So we will create a material master, material code using the T code called MM01. MM01 is to create the material master. Then we have MM02 to change the material master, MM03 to display. So now this is the nomenclature which is followed standard across all the transactions. 01 is to create every time, 02 is to change, and 03 is for your display purpose. Same way we have vendor master. When we have a new T code, that is a business partner approach. We don't have a vendor master concept right now. The T code is DP. This is a single T code which we use to create a vendor master. Okay, so coming to our this is I'm doing MM03. This is your display material master. Okay, so suppose this is my material code. Now any on pop-up will be opening which will tell you to select the views. So in any master data there are three segments available. One is a basic data which is having all the general details, like your material description will be there, unit of measurement will be there, your material group. So all these general details will be there in the basic data. Then we have module specific details. So this is our general details. Then we have model specific. For suppose it is MM model, so we will be having the purchasing details, where we will give the purchasing related data, like your purchasing group, okay, which is basically group of all the buyers. We can create a material purchasing group which will having group all the buyers who only procure the materials. We can have a service procurement group. Even in material we can have people who only procure the mechanical things, people who only procure the electrical parts, people who only procure the electronics, or based on the characteristics of the material we can have a separate groups based on the business requirement. Okay, so that can be done over here. Then we have the third segment. we have the third segment, that is the financial data, wherein we will be entering the cost price of this material in the accounting view. So we have general details, that is a basic data, model specific purchasing details, and third is the financial data, that is in your accounting views. Okay, so once we choose this, now here we have to give the plant details. So what is plant? In SAP we have something called org structure. Organization structure, or it is even called as enterprise structure. Okay, so it starts with the company code, which is created by the finance model. We don't create in MM model. Company code is created in the FI model. FICO people will create the company code and give it to us. We have to just use the same company code, because what happens, there are a lot of settings we require in company code creation. It is not just creation, we have to assign chart of accounts, which has all the GL general ledger codes in that. We have to assign the currency, we have to assign a lot of settings we have to do when it comes to company code creation, then which is done by the finance model. Then we have plant. From MM point of view, we have plant, and then we have the storage location. Okay, so plant can be your, it can be your manufacturing unit. If it's a manufacturing company, it can be a distribution center. Okay. Or it can be a service, you can say a branch office which does the service activities for service industry. Okay, so it can be plant, can be the manufacturing unit can be created as a plant. Even your distribution center can be created as a plant. If it's for a trading industry, they can create the warehouse as one of the plant. Okay, and then we have the, for service industry, every branch office or head office can be created as a plant. And then we have the storage location. So under the plant, we have the storage location, which is basically the place where the material will be stored. Okay, so plant, suppose it's a warehouse, it's a big place where, and we want to know which location the material has to be stored. We can bifurcate that plant into multiple storage locations. Like we can have a material, like we can, fast moving goods can be kept at one place, one storage location. Slow moving goods can be kept in another storage location. We can have hazardous material kept in another storage location. Okay, and all the same similar kind of characteristics material can be kept in another storage location, so that we can bifurcate that way. So this is a storage location. For service industry, your stores can be created as a, sorry, so this got disconnected. Okay. So for service industry, your branch offices can also be treated as a storage location. So head office will be the plant, and these branch offices can be your storage location. So this is the org structure. Now when we comes to master data, we have to assign this material to the plant for which we are creating. Okay, so suppose we are creating the material for the manufacturing plant, or we are creating for any other plant, we have to specify over here. Suppose I'm creating for a plant code IN01. Now there are some, I think this server, they have refreshed the server and deleted all the data, because a lot of students, they practice, and because they create a lot of junk data in the server, so they have refreshed the entire server. So for which we have to create the data sets again. The test data has to be created again. So it is not available this right now. So this is what I wanted to show you. Like this is, will be having the general details, that is a material description, unit of measurement. Then we have the purchasing details and the accounting views, which will be having the material price. So this is about material master. Now when it comes to vendor master, I told you we have the business partner approach. Okay, so if you see, this is the we are coming back to material master. Here we have client data, we have plant data, and the storage location details available. And material master is a not only used by the MM model, it is even used by the other models like SD model, PP model, VM. So all of them use the same material master. That is why I said there is a second segment that is a model specific. If it is SD model, they will use the SD related data. Instead of your purchasing, they will have sales organization, distribution channel. Okay, and same way PP will have their own PP related details available in the model specific segment. Okay, and next is a business partner approach. So what is the business partner approach? Now what SAP has done, they have merged the customer master and the vendor master in one particular segment called business partner. Why they have done that? Because in previously in ECC version, SAP has faced the issue like a particular person who is acting as both. He's acting as a vendor to you. He's supplying some goods or services to your organization, as well as he's acting as a customer at the same point of time. So he's buying some goods or services from your same organization. In that case, what used to happen is he used to get two codes, one as customer code, another was a vendor code, but actually the person was only one. So that was the drawback. So and that is the one of the reasons why SAP came up with the business partner approach, wherein this particular person will get only one ID, that is a business partner ID. Okay, and based on the role which is performing, if he's acting as a customer, he will get a customer code. If he's acting as a vendor, he will get a vendor code. Okay, and your business partner can be categorized into three. It can be a person, your business partner can be a person, a business partner can be an organization, that is a company, or it can be a group of persons or a group of organizations. And the BP is the single transaction code which is used to create a business partner, to edit a business partner, and even to display the business partner. If you see previously in ECC, we had the different T codes like SK01 to create the vendor master, SK0 to change the vendor master, SK03 to display. Now we have only one T code, which is from which we can change, create, and display. Everything can be done in one T code, that is a BP. And now the previous T codes like SK01, MK01, SD01, these were the T codes which we used to create the vendor master and customer master, has now become obsolete. So if I show you in the system, if you try to open any of these T codes, it will give an error message. Suppose I open SK01, that is a vendor master creation in ECC. It will give me error message in the status bar. It will say me, tell me that redirecting to the transaction BP has the transaction SK01 has become obsolete. Okay, so this it will automatically redirect you to the new transaction code, that is a business partner BPT code, wherein you have to use that and create the business partner. So you can go via this as well, or you can go by the transaction code BP. Now when since it's a master data, it is a centrally created master data which is used by all the modules, not only MM module. Okay, so first thing is you have to choose whether it's we are creating a business partner as a person or an organization or a group. So suppose I'm creating for a company, then I choose the organization. Now here, based on the role which is performing, whether even is performing the vendor role, we have a standard roles available in SAP provided by SAP. So we have, for general details, we have the general role, which is some 6 times 0, which is a general role wherein we have to enter the business partner name, that is a vendor name, vendor address, contact details. Okay, all this will come in the general details. And then we have the, if he's acting as a vendor, then we will be having a standard role available, that is a FLVN01. Moment I choose FLVN01, there will be purchasing button getting activated, wherein I will give the MM model specific details, wherein I will give the purchasing group, your payment terms, order currency, payment terms, Incoterms, and the sales control data, purchasing related details. Okay, it will come in the, we'll see in detail each and every field which is there. We have something called pricing schema group, which you have to assign in the this role, which will determine the pricing available to me. So when I create a purchase order, it is not just a purchase order creation. It is not just a basic price. In purchase order, we have multiple prices available. So PO will have my PO. When I create a purchase order, it has the basic price. And on the top of that, we'll be having a lot of landed cost getting added. So we have the freight charges, We have the surcharges. We have taxes. We have vendor is giving some discounts. So all this will get added up to the gross price, and discounts will get deducted and will come with a PO net price. Okay, so for this we have something called pricing procedure available in the system. So we'll see in detail when in the training how to configure the pricing procedure. Every will have a condition we have to create. We have to create a condition type of freight. We can have multiple freight charges. Okay, based on the business requirements, some 10, 20 freight charges can be created. We can create different taxes, GST or VAT or service charge or customs or excise. All these kinds of taxes can be created over here. In this condition type, we can create different discounts. Okay, percentage basis, or you can have an actual amount basis discounts, and then we can arrive at the PO net price. So how to configure that we will see, and this pricing procedure gets attached in the vendor master in the purchasing views. Okay, so whatever pricing procedure we assign, according to that the pricing will be getting calculated in the PO. Okay, and this we can customize our own pricing based on the business requirement. We can customize different pricing schemes based on the business requirement. Okay, so this is based on the vendor specific rule. Then we have the third, that is a financial. So I told you any master data has a general segment. We have seen in material master, same way in vendor this business partner we have general role for the general details like address. We have the for model specific details wherein we'll give the purchasing details, and the last is a financial segment wherein we'll give the financial details. Okay, moment you select this role, we'll have a company code button getting activated wherein we'll assign this vendor to a particular company code and give the reconciliation account, that is a GL code, and other financial details like your bank details and other things will come in this particular role. Okay, so this is about your business partner when we are creating for MM module. When we are creating for SD module, instead of purchasing details, we'll add the customer details. So we have FLCU00 for customer details when it comes to SD module. When it comes to HR module, instead of vendor and customer role, we'll have a separate role, that is employee role. Okay, so the business partner ID is one, and based on the role which is performing, we have to choose the role code. If the vendor is acting as a vendor, we have to choose the vendor role. If he's acting as a customer, we'll choose the customer role. If he's an employee in a particular organization, as I'm a buyer, I will get a particular employee code. Okay, so for that we have to use the employee role, whereas business partner ID will be only one, unique. So this is the concept of your business partner. This is the how to create the business partner. Then behind this there's a configuration involved, that is your customer vendor integration, and how to configure the business partner, that is also part of the training, and we'll have a detailed configuration settings when we start with the training session. Okay, so we have seen the material master, we have seen the business partner, and then we have the purchasing component, which is your entire cycle, procure to pay. Okay, here we have it starts with the any procurement activity start with the purchase requisition, and purchase requisition can be coming from your manual purchase requisition via particular department. They has a requirement for some material or service, they will raise a purchase requisition, or it can come from a SD module. So customer has placed the order, suppose, and that material or service is not available in your inventory. When the material is not available in inventory, what you will do, that from SD module it will get integrated with the MM module, and a PR will get generated, and will procure the material from externally and supply it to the customer. So PR can come from the SD module. Then even the PR can come from the manufacturing unit, so from PP module. So if your manufacturing organization is there, they had the requirement of a particular raw material for production purpose, they require some spare parts. So what they'll do, they create a bill of material, and from that the purchase requisition gets created, which is sent to the MM module, and the procurement activity starts. So PR can be manual, or it can come from SD module, it can come from your PP module, or even it can come from your PS systems, project systems. So there are various ways of creating a PR, and we have MRP as well. So I told you reorder point, if the material is going below the 100 quantity, if I set the quantity as any point of time, the material should be not go below the 100 quantity mark. If moment it goes, automatically PR gets generated, and we have the purchase requisition available for us to do the procurement activity. Okay, so once we got the purchase requisition, next step is your determination of source of supply. In the determination of source supply, what we do, we find out the vendor, okay, who can supply the material to me. Okay, so if you have the Ariba network, automatically this PR will be sent to Ariba, and they will suggest you the list of all the suppliers who can supply with that material service. Otherwise, we can go for, if you don't have implemented Ariba, then we can create a manual quotation. We can raise a quotation to multiple vendors and get the quotation from different vendors, compare the quotation and finalize at one of the quotations, and then we'll do the vendor selection based on the different parameters. So like we have the what are the different prices in the quotation, what is the quality of the product which the vendor is supplying, what is the delivery performance. If we have, it's a older past vendor, we can have the delivery performance of the vendor, and we different criteria can be used, and we get a score for that particular criteria, and finally we get the ranking, and the best ranking, number one ranking, can be chosen for raising the purchase order. So once you have done the vendor evaluation and selection, we'll create a purchase order to that vendor, and the processing will happen, wherein we'll add all the basic cost, all the landing cost like a freight charges, your discounts, taxes, everything will come in the purchase order. And then we will do the purchase order monitoring, wherein we do the follow-up with the vendor to supply the material or service. And the moment once the vendor has supplied you the material in the delivery location which is mentioned in the purchase order, we'll do the GRN, that's the goods receipt, and vendor will also supply, after supplying the material, will send you the invoice copy, wherein you have to make the payment to the vendor as per the invoice. Now in SAP there is something called three-way match. So what is three-way match? Here what happens, your invoice will have a material quantity and the price available to you, which will while entering the invoice we will have to feed in the quantity and price. Okay, so what will have, there will be a match of the price with the purchase order. The invoice price will be matched with the PO price, it has to match accordingly, and your quantity will be matched with the GRN. So whatever quantity the vendor has supplied, he should bill for that much quantity only, not more than that. Okay, so that is one of the criteria for matching. And last is your it will check for duplicate, if whether you have already booked the invoice or not. So this is the three different matches which is there. Once all the matches successful, we can post the invoice, and the payments will be handled in the FI module. It can directly transfer to the bank details, bank account of the vendor via the FI module. So this is a standard procure to pay cycle, which is called P2P cycle, or purchase to pay, or procure to pay, or your standard procurement cycle. Any questions in this standard procurement to pay cycle? We'll be covering how to create a PR, how to create quotation, how to do the vendor evaluation and selection, or how to create a purchase order, how to monitor, how to do GRN, invoice verification and payments. And every transaction will have a reports attached to it, what are the different reports available. And then we'll also do the configuration, how to configure the PR as per the business requirement via SPRO settings, how to configure the quotation, how to configure the vendor selection, how to configure the purchase order, how to configure the inventory management, that is a GRN, goods receipt is the goods issue, transfer posting, everything will come in inventory management configuration, and how to configure the invoice verification. There will be invoice blocks, and lot of settings will be the number ranges, document types. There are a lot of configuration available. So there I will show you, there is one configuration document which will be referring in the training. It's almost 80 to 90 pages of configuration document which will be sharing with you, which has all the step-by-step guide is there. Using that will be configuring the SAP MM system. Okay. If you see here, this is a configuration guide. We start with the enterprise structure definition, then assignments of the enterprise structure, then we'll have the company code settings, we create a material master settings, business partner settings, then we have purchasing settings, like we'll configure the purchase requisition, purchase order, we configure the contracts, quotations, and so on. Okay, all the purchasing transactions will be configured. Then we have the services configuration, we have the inventory management configuration and physical inventory configuration, and then we have something called valuation and account assignment. And last is account determination, which is the integration point of MM and FI. And next is a material ledger. It's a new concept in SAP S/4HANA. So it almost 80 to 90 pages of configuration document is there, which will be covering in the configuration. And in the training, we'll be having 3 books which we are going to refer. It's in S/4HANA, we have 3 books which is suggested by SAP. Yeah, anybody has any questions? We'll almost done with the demo. 5-10 minutes we'll just
Hello.
yeah, please.
This is Shankar actually. Yeah, there are a lot of background noise. I'm not hearing properly.
I think everybody are muted. Yeah, all are muted only. You can ask your question.
Yeah, my question is actually I worked in purchasing department 3-4 years before. There they was using SAP as an end user. So I have a knowledge about SAP like ECC, not ECC, like 5 or 6 version. So there I know that through SPRO we can customize, and through ECXS we can do end user things and all. But now I want to move to SAP side, because now I was working as a developer in a developer means in Java developer in our software company. So my question is like even though I know about SAP MMs, at least some of the things, is it good to go for SAP MM training or S/4HANA MM training or Ariba training? Because all are related, right? Yeah, because
all are related. And
one more thing, I was told that SAP MM it won't be there like ECC 7.0. It won't be there after 5-6 years, like they told. So I am confused. That's I want your answers.
Yeah, please mute yourself, everybody. I've understood Shankar's question. I will basically what happens now. S/4HANA is a new product. When we say S/4HANA, almost 60% is same like ECC work. Okay, so only 40% additional things have come up. That is called delta. Okay, that is called delta thing in S/4HANA. Please mute yourself, everybody. Request them to please mute yourself. There's a lot of background noise coming up. Asran, please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So fine. So when I say S/4HANA, it has 40% new things which have come up. Okay, 60% remains the same. So it's not like when we start the training, we'll not cover the 60% part, we'll just cover 40% part. It is not possible, because that is the base of the SAP MM. Okay, so we'll start with the base. When it is experience guy, we will be covering the people who are already worked on ECC will be quickly completing the 60% portion, whereas people who are fresher will spend more time on the 60% portion. But the 40% portion, which is part of your S/4HANA, will be covering in detail for both fresher as well as experienced guys. Okay, so these are the 3 things which have come up in S/4HANA, and which is S4H00. S4LG1 is one module. So S4H00 is around 320 pages, which is an overview of SAP S/4HANA. We have S4LG1, which is your 218 pages, which will be covering your entire logistics processes in S/4HANA enterprise management. And last is the S4PR1, which is your MM sourcing and procurement activities. Entire procure to pay cycle will be done using this S4PR1, which is again 122 pages of document. So we'll be in the training, we'll be covering these 3 books, referring these 3 books apart from this configuration document, which is again 84 pages. So we'll be covering all these 4 books for the training. And apart from that, we will be also referring some official blogs of SAP, which is the latest, which has the latest things available for our training purposes. Okay, and now Shankar's question was like, should we go for S/4HANA or should we go for Ariba? Now Ariba is catering to the supplier collaboration activities. Your procurement activities will be only handled by MM module. Okay, we are not Ariba is not going to handle the procurement activities. Okay, there is something called upstream and downstream. Okay, when procurement we have 2 things, upstream and downstream. So Ariba only caters to the upstream activities. which includes your e-bidding and sourcing and procurement, auction, e-bidding auction, and your your sourcing sourcing of that is vendor selection. It has list of all the vendors available in the whole world. They register with the Ariba network, and based on that database of the vendors, they suggest the source of what you call source of supply vendor. They will suggest to model, and whereas downstream is your downstream process, which is handling the entire procure to pay cycle, P2P cycle, which starts from your PR, your quotation RFQ, quotations, contracts. Okay, then we have this purchase order, your inventory management, goods receipts, goods issue, transfer postings, okay, invoice verifications, and plus apart from that we have this MRP, right, and all the master data.
Manoj, Ariba has both the modules, right? Upstream also and Ariba downstream also. So the Ariba downstream covers all this downstream modules, as in all this PR, RFP, contracts, PO.
Yeah, Ariba, because it's a separate system, it was acquired by SAP. Okay, so Ariba had that before SAP acquired. Ariba was catering to both upstream and downstream. Okay, but when we say procure to pay cycle, module is strong when it comes to your downstream activities. Okay, Ariba is more strong into upstream activities, and module is when we say procurement activities, Ariba is module is the number one in the downstream activities. Okay, and it is natively integrated. So when we talk about when we implement Ariba, it is by default integrated with the module, wherein your upstream will be handled by Ariba, whereas all the downstream activities will be handled by the module. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is about it. So when we talk about whether you want to go for Ariba, you want to go for module, so based on your interest, your background, your knowledge, and your
okay,
interest,
got it. Thank you, man.
you
Yeah, I
go
got
for
it. Thanks for explaining. Yeah.
Yeah. So coming to this is your standard procure to pay process. And apart from this, we have something called special procurement activities. Like we have uh, standard procurement activities, which I told to you, P2P process. Then we have special procurement, which will be covering like subcontracting, how to do subcontracting purchase order. We have a consignment purchase order.
Pipeline also, right?
Yeah, pipeline is there. Okay, then we have a STO, stock transport order. So these are the various special procurement which will be covering apart from your standard procure to pay cycle, and this will be doing using the graphical user interface as well as Fiori interface. This entire P2P cycle will be doing it via GUI as well as Fiori. So now coming to our slides here. So I showed you the GUI interface. Let us see what is Fiori. Now Fiori, if you say, it's a if you work on everybody is using Android or the iOS mobile, so mobile has a different apps available. Okay, we have your WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on. Different apps are available. Same way, Fiori is a collection of all the apps. So for purchase requisition, we have purchase requisition app. For PO, we have purchase order app. Okay, so every transaction has a corresponding app available in the Fiori. Just log off from this. We start with the Fiori overview, and then we'll do entire P2P cycle using Fiori interface, for which we have on the server we have the Fiori launchpad available. And this Fiori will open up in the browser. Okay, so whether your Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, whichever browser you are using, default browser, it will open up. Same user ID password will be there. Which you are using the graphical user interface, same user ID password you have to give it over here as well. Okay, and this is in device independent. It can work on any of the devices. Even you can use a smartphone for your doing the transaction using Fiori apps. Okay, and it's a bit slow. By the time I'll just based on the based on the server performance, your this will work. Yeah. So it works on seamlessly on your desktop, tablets, and smartphones. And there are some rules or guidelines which are provided by SAP. So if there are standard apps available, if you want to customize, you want to create your own applications, you have to follow the guidelines given by SAP to create your own Fiori apps using the UEFI, HTML5, UEFI interface. Okay, so we have a separate Fiori developer team. Like ABAP, we have a Fiori developer team who can create the various apps available in the Fiori. Now, when we say Fiori, they have something, lot of. Let us first check. Yeah, here this is the Fiori homepage. We'll be having on the top the user, okay, where we can find the various apps which we want to use. There are personalized settings can be done. You can edit the homepage and do the sign out from here. Then we have something called notifications available. The way we have the notifications for your WhatsApp, like you got any notification, like you got a friend request in Facebook, you get a notification. Same way we get a notification in the Fiori app saying that suppose purchase order is being created and it is pending for the approval by your supervisor or HOD or the whatever the approval level is there, vice president or CFO. They will get a notification that okay, this is the purchase order, please approve. It is pending for your approval. And we can sort the notification by date, by type, and priority. So this is the notification section. Then we have search functionality, which is just like your Google search. We can give any details over here and search a particular using a keyword. So if I type a purchase requisition, so it will show me all the apps available for purchase requisition, all the what all purchase requisitions has been created for a particular company code and so on. Okay, suppose I do order, suppose I say, and this is before that, this is my different groups. We have the sales group, sales analytics group, sales monitoring group, and so on. If you click over here, there are so many groups which has been created. Now you can create your own group and we can add the apps to it. Okay, so we can create a material management group and we can add all the MM related apps in it. So purchase requisition we can add in the same group, PO, PR, GRN, all these apps can be added in this one particular group, so that it becomes easy, everything is at one place. Okay, and we have this search functionality which you can use to search a particular app. Now here there is no concept of transaction code. If you say I want to create a purchase requisition, I will just type the name, the purchase requisition, and it will open up like what kind of app you want. Okay, so it will based on the, from that we can choose. So there are 15 results, there are 15 apps available for me for purchase. You can create a purchase requisition from there and use it. Okay, so there is some, this is all authorization issues which I told you. They have filtered, they have cleared the database, so we need to create a separate test data for it. So here we have create purchase requisition. So this is the screen. Every transaction have smart filter bar available, which we can filter the transaction, get to know the list of all the open purchase requisitions. For purchase order app will have a list of all the open POs and so on. Okay, and we can create a purchase requisition via the screen. This is very intuitive to use. Okay, if you have used online banking transactions or online e-commerce website, yeah, it's not cluttered. If you see the graphical user interface which I show you, there were so many fields available in the purchase order screen, whereas this is very much simple and simple to use, and very visually it's very rich and appealing, and it's very intuitive. You don't need much training in it. If a person has used a particular browser, any application, online banking transaction, with limited training you can start using the Fiori apps. Okay, because what happens, SAP has done, they have only kept the relevant fields. So as a buyer, I don't need all the taxation and other fields required for me. Okay, so whatever is relevant field to me, that only will be visible to me in the Fiori apps. Rest all will be hidden for me. As a HOD, I only need the approval screen. I don't need rest all fields for me. Okay, so for approval, we have a separate app wherein only the required fields are available for the approval purposes. Using this way, SAP is able to simplify the screen for the user. Okay, and then we have something called analytics. So there are different transactions. There is one analytics screen, procurement. Procurement overview is the reporting tool app available. Here, this is my header details, smart filter bar. Suppose I filter by USD currency and go. Just collapse the smart filter bar. If you see, you have this app called monitor purchase contracts. Now there will be some indicators on the top of the app itself, color coded indicators. So red means this contract has already got expired in 2 months back, and 100% it has been consumed to purchase order. There is another contract for Seat tires which is about to get expired in 1 week, and 70%, 77% has been consumed. Okay, so this kind of indicator is available on the top of the app itself. And if you want to get to the detail, directly go inside and get the details of the particular contract. Then we have something called supplier monitoring performance. If I open this, it's just rich in visualization. Okay, and a lot of graphs are available which was not there in the graphical user interface or the ECC part. So we have the supplier evaluation based on criteria like time, price, quantity, and quality. Okay, and we can have various column charts, bar charts, line charts. For reporting, we can have a pie chart, donut chart. So there are different graphs available which we can use for our reporting purposes. We can have a tabular view. Okay, and we can download this in Excel sheet, and people who are comfortable with Excel, they can start using these reports in Excel sheet as well. So this kind of reports are available which are rich in visualization and which was not available in the ECC or graphical user interface. Okay, so then there are something called embedded analytics available in the PR. Suppose this is my purchase requisition 4711. I want to request a material 515 from a vendor 101. Now, the moment I put this material, SAP will suggest you the list of all suppliers who can supply me the material. So 100 supplier is there, 101, 102. We can write in front of the purchase requisition screen itself. We can get to know the delivery performance. So and based on that, we can choose the best supplier and attach that supplier, fix the supplier as a desired vendor or fixed vendor in the purchase requisition itself, and convert this PR directly into the purchase order from the same screen, PR screen itself. So you don't have to go to multiple screens. So this kind of embedded analytics is available in the SAP S/4HANA. Okay, and I already showed you this cockpit, this procurement overview graphs and different KPI tiles, which has a color coded indicator available. That's it from my side. Any questions if you have, you can ask me. Open the question answer session. Hello, anyone has any doubts or questions, they can ask me. Please unmute yourself and you can ask me the questions.
Manoj,
Yeah.
example, I have very bad experience in online training.
Okay.
They start with one person in the introduction class. Within 4-5 days, they change the instructor, and
Okay.
how I don't know, because I've seen with the big companies in this done that thing, and once 1 week or 2 weeks they started changing the instructor, and it will very difficult to understanding.
Now I'm attached with this SAP, this organization institute from so many years, and I've been training for sourcing and procurement MM model. Okay, so because we cannot generalize. If you have a sorry to you have a
I'm
bad
not
experience,
generalizing.
we cannot generalize because it depends institute to institute and faculty to faculty. Okay, so that is the thing. So that we
No,
can assurance we can be, because if I start, I will be, even whatever situation is emergency, whatever is there, I will end the training. Then only I will what you call, we are not going to change any faculty in middle. That is the assurance which I can give you.
okay, and okay, and the and the course fees and everything we need to talk to separately. Apart from
Course fees will be we can speak to your representative directly, and the course duration I told you is of 50 hours of training, 45 to 50 hours of training, which will be covering in 2 months of time. You get a 24/7 server access. We'll also guide you to the certification. If anybody wants to go for certification, we'll be giving you a certification guidance. Okay, and even your job placement assistance can be provided. We can update your resume as per the SAP MM point of view. We can add the relevant points into your resume, and we can conduct mock interviews for you. Okay, and this kind of assistance can be given for your placements.
okay, and this institute is based in somewhere in Hyderabad or
This is Pune based institute.
Pune based? Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, Harsha. Anyone else has any questions?
Hello.
Yes, Ahmad, tell me.
Yeah, what is the process of certification? For the certification, is there any requirement like there should be must experience, or else everyone can go for the certification?
Now SAP has come up with a new pattern, that's a cloud-based certification. Okay, prior to that
Okay.
we have to go to Prometric Center physically and give the certification. Now in cloud version, it is we can register 365 anytime, 365 days, and from the date of registration you get a 1 year validity to attempt the exam, clear the exam, and you get 3 attempts to clear one exam. Okay, and there is no prerequisite. Anybody can give the certification. You don't have to go via authorized training institute. There is no prerequisite of you should have a 1 year or 2 years of experience from in a SAP partner company or your SAP company or a client company. That prerequisite has been removed in the cloud certification. So it's good. Anybody who has a passion about SAP, who is passionate about SAP, wants to get into SAP field, can go for certification. But only thing is, if you don't have proper training, you won't be able to clear the certification. That is the thing. Okay, so and you get 3 attempts. I told you, you get 3 attempts to clear the exam. In a 1 year time, you get a 3 attempts. You have to pay 40,000 rupees INR approximately is the registration fees from the date of registration. 1 year validity to clear the exam in 3 attempts. And they
Okay,
also
then what
give
is
you,
the level of examination?
pardon me.
What type of examination is been conducted?
Now
Like
if you
it
see,
will be online, or else it will be a
it's
physical paper presentation.
No,
Okay.
it's an online training. We have their a website called training.sap.com. Okay, here we have to register yourself for your certification, and it will be online training, and you'll be getting 80 questions which you have to clear. 1 minute, I'll show you. So when I say you can also go through this website training.sap.com. For MM model, we have to go to procurement. In procurement, we have sorry, let me close this. When I say procurement, we have 3 types of certification available. Either you can go for SAP. So we have SAP ERP, that is a ECC version of MM. We have SAP S4HANA, people who want to go into full-fledged S4HANA certification, and then we have Delta certification. Delta is for people who already worked on ECC and they want to upgrade, upskill themselves in the S4HANA. For them, we have the Delta certification.
Okay, it is a further thing.
So
basic thing what we have to do is, first thing we have to complete SAP with ERP. Okay, next to that, or else we can move individually.
We can directly, we can, I am going to train you is SAP S/4HANA full version. Okay, so if you don't have the
Okay.
background of ECC, it's okay. If you have the background of ECC, we can directly go for Delta training.
Okay. Okay. The thing is, I have only experience concerned to the thing is, we have our own inbuilt ERP system. I have worked with you can understand, we have our own ERP system where we build our own vending monitoring charts, or so and so. Till now I have didn't done anything with respect to SAP. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
There's some connection. There's a network outage in my area. There's a little bit connectivity. Network is slow. Yeah. So here, if you see,
question?
there are 3 exams going for MM model. We have 3 kinds of certification. We can go for latest version, that is SAP S/4HANA 1909 sourcing and procurement, and then we have 1809 and 1709. If I click on this, okay, you will get to know all the things which are required for this particular certification. Okay. You can. This is the certification code, and the delivery exam. There will be 80 questions which will be asked, and cutoff is 63%. Duration is 180 minutes. You get to clear the exam. 180 minutes is required to complete the entire 80 questions. Okay, and the cost fees is 42,000 is the core registration fee. Okay, so this will be topics which we are going to cover. We are going to cover S4 PR1, which is going to have 12% weightage. We'll be covering the this is the ECC part which I'll be covering for you, master data and other things. Then we have the source and supply delivery. These other things like your procurement process, consumption based planning, logistics process, which I'll be sharing with you. TSM 5052 also I'll be sharing with you, which is easy part, so which I'm not showed you, but it's available. We'll be sharing all these documents via Google Drive to all of you. Okay, so this is about certification, which will be covering in detail at the end of the training. People who wants to interested in certification, they will be giving a certification guidance to them. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll wind up today's demo. And if you have any more questions, editors will get back to you regarding the enrollment part. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Bye, take care.